Generally, Jason, just out of curiosity, like, are you a a bigger Marvel fan or a DC fan as far as the comics themselves?
It's about 50-50. My favorite comic book character is a DC character. I really love a lot of the Batman comics and the stuff that kind of comes off of the Batman comics. All of the a lot of the characters that are based in Gotham, like Nightwing and Robin, and all of the people that are kind of semi connected to Batman. All that stuff I really like a lot. Really like a lot of the like Titans stuff, and just there's tons of I have boxes and boxes and boxes of DC comics. I really like them, but what I like about them is very kind of like you could kind of trace it all back to the few things that I really like about DC a lot. Um, Whereas Marvel, there's a whole bunch of characters that I grew up reading and really like a lot, and it's kind of a little more widespread, I guess, in a sense. Really, the sad part is that neither company's been making good comic books for like almost 10 years now. So that's neither here nor there. But
That's interesting. So they've kind of like taken the focus off of by focusing on all these movies.
no, it's not
Yeah.
that. It's just that with DC specifically, there was a big push to try and get a lot of new readers, as there always is, and I understand that, if they're not getting younger readers and stuff like that because their storylines are like, continuations of stuff that's been going on for decades and stuff. They want to make it more accessible to new readers and whatever. And back in like, I don't know, I want to say it was like 2009 or something like that, they had this like thing called Flashpoint where they basically retconned the entire uh, every single comic book, like every single storyline they started over again at a fresh point. And ever since then, I mean, yeah, there's been good stories. You can like collect certain stories here and there and be like, yeah, that was objectively good or whatever. But they basically took all this history of great stuff that they had and just kind of like ended it and just said, all right, we're starting fresh. And since then, it's all been very monotonous, and it's all been pretty bad. Like it really hasn't been anything that great since like 2012 probably or so. It's been pretty bad. Marvel also has had a lot of real problems when it comes to their stuff for different reasons, but it's frustrating. I haven't been super psyched about buying new comics for well over 6 or 7 years.
Hmm, interesting. Yeah, I guess it definitely wouldn't be the movies that definitely would be in their way because that's like a different kind of wing of the thing altogether. But I do wonder. I mean, that's what I wonder if like if it's a talent pool issue, like there's not enough people kind of with original ideas going in that direction.
Oh,
And
you know what? I can only quote what people have told me. I haven't done any serious research on this, but the guy who ran my old comic book store I used to go to, he used to talk a lot about it, and also some friends of mine who also read a lot of comics. They've said some similar things. I think it's like an industry problem. I think somewhere along the line, a lot of decisions got made, and at least this is what I've heard. Don't quote me on this, but that the authors don't get a whole lot of like they don't really get much for creating new characters, and as a result, you kind of see them just sort of rehashing the same villains and the same sidekicks and the same characters like over and over and finding new ways to tell stories with the same people. I think there's something that's keeping them from being as creative as they should be, or something like that. That's my outside looking in kind of take on it. But I don't know. It's probably a whole bunch of issues, is my guess.
yeah, I guess it'll come in
Huh.
waves. I never really got into that whole universe of reading comic books, but the ones that I did read,
Mm,
I get it. I enjoyed it, but yeah,
mm.
collecting on like on an ongoing basis that for some reason never made
I
sense to me.
I mean, is it possible that it's could have been exacerbated though, especially over the last few years with like the power that Disney has in, its extended universe, and like trying to create that umbrella of more customers, and so on and so forth, that maybe some comic book writers are just like, okay, well, we've got to play the Disney game, even though we're not directly employed by Disney. We just got to play the game, otherwise we're going to starve.
Because they bought Marvel and stuff.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really don't know if that has much to do with it. I've been told that it's funny. So okay, just let me just throw this out there as an example. I know this is
Okay.
not exactly what you're talking about, but it is sort of parallel to what you're talking about. In terms of like changing, like making decisions based on some of stuff that's going on in movies and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Like there was a little small period of time uh before Marvel had the rights back to the characters that they sold to Fox,
Mhm.
which would be like the X-Men and the Fantastic Four and stuff like that. You
Yeah.
started seeing some weird decisions, like you'd see stuff like posters and advertisements and things for certain comic books where they alter, like it'd be like a picture of like a whole cast of characters kind
Mhm.
of, and they would intentionally change up certain characters to have fewer of the ones that they don't own anymore, or that they don't own the movie
Yeah.
rights to, I should say. They always own them, of course, but they don't own the movie
Yeah.
rights. So you'd see weird decisions like that going on. But even then, at least based on the conversations I was having with people, that was always seen as a really petty and kind of stupid thing, because at least based on like I don't know what you'd call it, like based on like the metrics and everything like that, it seems as though, despite what some people might believe, um, when these movies come out, if anything, the movies seem to draw more people to the old comic books and to the new comic
Mhm.
books with the same titles, rather than the other way around. So it's almost seems dumb that they would like say they would like not promote a, just for example, like a Fantastic Four issue or something like that, or not make some sort of weird decision like that because they weren't going to see direct money off the movie or something like that back then. Now, of course, that's not a problem for them at all. But anyway, all I'm saying is that there's definitely a lot of people talking about that kind of stuff, like changing stuff because of the movies and whatever. But I don't think there's a whole lot of. I don't think that holds a lot of water. I guess it just seems as though it was a concern, and I don't think it was very, that there was much to it really. And I don't know. It's just weird.
Yeah, overall, my
Yeah.
impression of like DC versus Marvel, I mean, DC easily has the two best superheroes in Batman and Superman, but I guess Marvel makes up a lot of ground with numbers. They got really inventive with a lot of things. Spider-Man is probably their strongest character or most popular, but there's so many others, and they just strength in numbers there. But
Everything goes in seasons and phases and stuff. When we were all very young in the '80s, I mean, I wasn't collecting comics back then. Obviously, I was reading a few of them by the early '90s. But yeah, during the '80s, I think they say that really both companies were struggling a lot, and really their best sellers were the stuff that kind of targeted teen audiences. Like I think Marvel was hanging on to a string. It was like really hanging on mostly because of X-Men comics,
Mhm.
and I think DC was hanging on mostly because of Teen Titans.
it kind of
And
makes
then, of course,
makes sense. Yeah.
every time they make big changes, and suddenly viewership goes up or goes down, or it's just kind of like waves, seasons and such.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, the X-Men is definitely also a big thing. It's again like multiple characters. Um, yeah, that's like strength in numbers.